Deep in the heart of a small town named Ravensbrook lived a woman named Perry Thompson. Perry had been plagued by an irrational fear of clowns since her childhood, a phobia that had haunted her dreams and tormented her waking hours. The mere sight of a clown sent shivers down her spine, triggering a paralyzing fear that consumed her entire being. Determined to conquer her dread, Perry was referred to Dr. Samuel Crane by her employers at Eternis, a renowned psychologist specializing in phobias. Dr. Crane devised an unorthodox treatment plan to confront Perry's fear head-on. He believed that exposure therapy was the key to her liberation. His solution? A visit to the recently arrived Cryptic Circus that had set up on the outskirts of town. Reluctantly, Perry agreed, hoping that facing her fear would bring her relief. On the fateful cold autumn night of their visit to the Cryptic Circus, Perry and Dr. Crane walked among the fog-shrouded tents, the entrances emanating a soft glow that bathed the crowds in multicolored lights. Children ran in and out of the tents with handfuls of snacks, screaming and laughing in excitement. But the loud music and tight crowds began to overwhelm Perry, to the point she could feel herself suffocating, as if the circus began to wring its hands around her neck. The world began to spin around her, her heartbeat pulsating blood into her eardrums. She gasped for air and quickly broke away from a clueless Dr. Crane. She found a moment of respite in a secluded area away from the boisterous crowds, an area where the air could refreshingly fill her lungs once again. A disconcerting silence began to fill the air, broken only by the distant strains of whispers. Despite her growing unease, Perry wandered closer to the kerfuffle. Peering around a tent, Perry discovered a group of clowns huddled together, their faces distorted by painted-on malevolent smiles. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity, their expressions twisted with a sick delight. They spoke in hushed tones, their words barely audible above the whispering wind. What she managed to hear, though, was beyond her worst nightmares. Their voices dripped with a sinister edge, discussing a plot to unleash chaos and carnage upon the unsuspecting crowd. "Let's paint this town red," she overheard one of them saying. Did they want to commit violence, murder, to terrorize the town of Ravensbrook until it lay broken and bloodied at their blood-painted feet? Perry's heart pounded. Her ears began to ring as an overwhelming dread threatened to consume her. Perry was paralyzed by fear, her mind spinning with thoughts of impending doom. One of the clowns moved its head in Perry's direction. She ducked back. Oh no, had the clowns seen her? She laid flat against the tarp, her hand over her mouth, waiting for them to discover her, but she heard no movement toward her. She had to tell someone, but who? Could she confide in Dr. Crane over today's events? Of course not. He wouldn't believe her, no one would. Clowns overtaking the town? She'd be locked up in some loony bin or worse, locked up for causing mass pandemonium. No, this was perfect. It was fate that brought her here. She'd stop the imminent attack with her own prowess and show everyone how disgusting clowns truly were. Perry became consumed by a single thought. She had to protect herself and her town. Days turned into sleepless nights. Unable to remember the last time she had eaten, Perry meticulously planned her resistance. She delved into the dark recesses of the town's history, unearthing tales of mysterious disappearances and unspeakable horrors associated with the Cryptic Circus. She dug up reports of towns consumed by madness and tales of malevolent forces that cursed all who dared oppose it. It was all coming together. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Perry stockpiled weapons, barricaded her home, and prepared for the inevitable onslaught. The once vibrant woman now wore a gaunt, haunted expression, her face sunk in from lack of nourishment, her hands trembling with anticipation. The night arrived when Perry believed the clowns would strike. The full moon's light baptized Perry in its heavenly glow. She was this town's chosen champion, its defender against those heinous clowns. The wind howled, carrying with it a haunting laughter that echoed through the desolate streets. Armed with a twisted determination and the conviction that she was the only one who could stop the impending massacre, she ventured into the cold streets of Ravensbrook. As she prowled through the shadows, Perry saw clowns lurking on every corner, their eyes glinting with malevolence, giggling. She saw clowns of all sizes, little clowns holding orange buckets of poison candy, followed by big tall ones. Their makeup appeared as if it had been etched into their flesh, as though they were creatures, more demon than human. With every step, her paranoia escalated, pushing her further into madness. It was now or never. They weren't going to get away with this. She lunged forward, gripping her weapon. Perry found the little ones were the easiest to dispose of. Some of the bigger ones fled, screaming in terror. Some tried to circle her and subdue her, maneuvers she'd been expecting. She pepper-sprayed them, throwing them off balance. As they gasped for air, she took the opportunity to use a modified teaser, brought up past its safety limits to finish the job. Those tricky bugs weren't going to get the upper hand. Her actions grew increasingly violent and unhinged as she lashed out at any figure she believed to be a threat. The townspeople, unaware of the sinister plot uncovered by Perry, were bewildered by the sudden chaos that gripped their once peaceful town. Panic spread like wildfire as rumors of a woman committing atrocities fueled their terror. What was going on? At the end of her rampage, Perry finally found her cathartic peace. She hadn't succumbed to the clown's evil schemes. In fact, one could clearly see she'd been victorious. Dr. Crane would have to believe her now. Oh, she'd be the town's hero, a legend. She stood there, basking in her victory. Her face lay covered in dripping in fresh face paint, like that of a warrior or clown, as sirens approached. Finally, the town had caught on and had come to help her. Good, she thought. Send them all, we're going to need all the help we can. The following morning, the sun rose on a town splattered in red. Ravensbrook, once a peaceful haven, was now scarred by the horrors of Perry's deranged actions. Bodies littered the streets, evidence of her paranoia-fueled violence. The townspeople awoke to a nightmare, struggling to comprehend the carnage and the madness that had consumed their quiet community. Perry was found amidst the chaos, her laughter echoing eerily in the empty streets. Her face was smeared with blood, her eyes vacant and devoid of the spark of sanity. The clowns, who had unknowingly played catalyst to her descent into madness, were never found, leaving behind only a trail of painted footprints and a shudder of innocent souls, a macabre reminder of their sinister presence.